This story right here is reason 999 why the U.S. government is trying to clamp down on social services. So in the last few days, I've done a lot of stories on the reduction and the, the reconfiguration of the social services, mainly Section 8 and SNAP, aka food stamps, all right? Now, of course, there's other programs out there that the government is pulling back on funding. They're restructuring the requirements and things of that nature, right? But this story right here, I would argue, is probably one of the pinnacles of fraud for social services, aka SNAP, aka food stamps, all right? Now, we all know that in low-income areas, not just in the Black community, but in other communities, they have figured out ways to be perpetual participants of these systems. Now, this story is about people at the top, actually inside of the program, inside of the organization, that were frauding the program, taking advantage of the program, like most people do in corporate settings. This is from Fox Business. Trump agency uncovers one of the largest food stamp fraud bribery schemes. The USDA employee and 5 others arrested for alleged multi-million-dollar food stamp scheme.
Lock his ass up. Lock his ass up. You're going to jail. You're going to jail.
Yes, and when you find out how much it was, you're gonna be like, what the hell? But it was a multi-million-dollar scheme, and I will uncover how they did it and I guess how they redeemed the contributions or the bribery of said scheme, right? So let's get this Fox Business article. There's another one from Fox 10, and we will show you the fraud, all right? So without further ado, let's read the article. A U.S. Department of Agriculture employee and 5 others are under arrest as of Friday morning after allegedly misappropriating tens of millions of dollars in taxpayer food stamp funds. At the USDA, we are hyper-focused on rooting out that waste, fraud, and abuse, and yesterday, if not the largest, one of the largest stings. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins said on Friday mornings with Maria, quote, "This is a new day," President Trump promised as he was traveling across the country over the last few years. She continued that it would not be the government that we know. With the assistance of the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, 6 individuals have been criminally charged with a bribe and fraud scheme that generated more than $6 million in unauthorized transactions.
I'm putting cases on all you bitches.
I don't know why the reset, but let's get back down here. More than $66 million in unauthorized transactions under the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Programs, aka SNAP, otherwise known as food stamps. The defendants, Michael, let me make this a little bit larger because these names are very unusual. The defendants, Michael Keo, Mohammed Nawafla, Omar something, and Gimbal, and Imad, and Arsla Davis.
I'm not going to say what race, what people. We know I can't say that.
Are accused of conspiracy to steal government funds and to misappropriate U.S. Department of Agriculture benefits, according to a press release. Now, I don't know where these names came from. These people work inside of the U.S. Department of Agriculture and other employees, right? They sound African descent. Maybe some other, south of the equator country. I don't know. But there are a lot of layoffs going on in these organizations and the government. And I assume these people, they're not going to get, well, they are going to get laid off by going to jail. But you see the names, right? So that's self-explanatory here. I don't know what's up with that. But yeah. Starting in 2019, the indictment states that Keo created a network that supplied 160 unauthorized electronic benefits transfer cards to stores across the New York area to illegally process more than 30 million in EBT transactions. Quote, This fraud was made possible when the USDA employee, Arthur Davis, betrayed the public trust by selling confidential government information to the very criminals she was supposed to catch. Their actions undermine a program that vulnerable New Yorkers depend on for basic nutrition, U.S. Attorney Perry Carbone said in the media release. Yes, they did. They took advantage of a system that's supposed to take care of the less fortunate, and they used it to make millions of dollars. These charges should be a reminder that those who exploit anti-poverty programs for personal gain will be held accountable for their crimes, Carbone explained. The group also allegedly created fraudulent USDA applications, misappropriated license numbers, and in some cases doctored application documents for unauthorized stores. Now you might be thinking, well, how did this venture work out for these people? Well, we're going to read that here in just a second, all right? Because the way they did it is how they frauded the government. Is how they fraud the government and getting these money, these bribes rather. That is no longer going to be allowed here in Washington, and with these type programs like the food stamp program. So we're going to move forward, obviously in partnership with the FBI, with the Department of Justice, of course, our teams at the USDA. This is not one and only. There are going to be many more to come, and we're going to make sure that we're delivering on our promises to the taxpayer. And this last sentence, there's going to be real consequences for breaking the law across America's federal government with President Trump, but this is just one of many more to come. Yes. They defrauded the government out of $66 million in federal funds coming from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. If you've made it this far in the video and you're still here, thank you again for your viewership. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and that notification bell that way you can be notified whenever I go live or drop new content. Also, if you want to donate to the channel, please do so by hitting the Cash App $ Mr. Normie. And you can also go to my Ko-Fi page, ko-fi.com/workingmanmg. Also, I'm trying to build a community on Locals. So if you would, go please check out my Locals page and you can join for just $5 a month. You can post and we can build a community of like-minded working men over there. Thank you for your time. Now back to the video. Now you might be asking how they do this, but let's go here. This is Fox 10 News. 6 charged in multi-million-dollar scheme targeting food stamps in the New York area. Now I'm going to read this last paragraph and I'm going to get you guys and gals out of here, all right? They make this larger. Oh, back it up a little bit. There we go. Here we go. If you can read this with me. The USDA employee charged in the scheme actually worked in the division responsible for identifying food stamp fraud.
Bitch, ain't no way. Ain't no fucking way.
Bro, come on now, dog.
Let me read that one more time just so you can get the scope of this, right? The employee charged in the scheme worked in the division responsible for identifying food stamp fraud. This person worked in the fraud division. What a fitting way to get over by working in the very place that is supposed to be weeding out this type of activity. And is accused of selling hundreds of EBT license numbers, enabling more than $36 million in fraud SNAP redemptions at unauthorized stores. According to the DOJ, in return, the USDA employee received supplemental bribes that were disguised in communications as, among other things, birthday gifts and flowers, according to federal prosecutors. So this is what they did. They took these numbers, these cards, to these unauthorized stores and say, okay, well, now you can be authorized to receive food stamps. These stores were in the beginning not authorized to receive this type of to take advantage of the program to receive the benefit, because you work at a bodega, you work at a grocery store, right? Or you own a store. Your store, because maybe you sell alcohol or whatever, something in your store makes it where you cannot receive the SNAP benefit. You can't take people's cars and charge your products with SNAP benefits. Well, they give you the authorization to be able to do that. In exchange, you give me money. because you're going to get extra money because these people are going to spend more money in the store. Why? Because you're using SNAP benefits. So that translates to actual money in your pocket via the taxpayer dollar, right? And so in exchange for this authorization, the store gives these employees money, and that money goes into their pocket, right? And that's essentially how the bribe worked until they got caught via the communications as birthday gifts and flowers.
Donations.
And which is a very lame explanation of the, gifts or benefits, but that's how they did it. And they got caught. And these birthday gifts and flowers came up to $36 million. Yeah. So these individuals that worked in the division responsible for identifying food stamp fraud, they were taking advantage of you, the taxpayer, and you, the person that was needing to receive these benefits. And they'll probably go to jail and turn big rocks into little rocks, right? And in this last sentence down here, thousands of Albanians have had millions of dollars stolen from the EBT accounts, and for the last 5 months, they have not been reimbursed. Yeah, this is another scam, I guess, going on where people are stealing people's benefits right off of their accounts, their cards. But you see what's going on, right? This group of individuals that worked in the Department of Agriculture for the fraud department was stealing money out of your pocket, out of their pocket, the government's pocket. And there's a video here that's attached to it. I'll leave a link to this article in the description box. You can read it and watch this video at your leisure. This is a 6-minute video from Fox Business talking about this fraud. Matter of fact, let's get a quick clip of it. How about it? Fair use.
First, there's this. A Department of Agriculture employee and 5 others under arrest this morning, accused of a multi-million-dollar food stamp fraud and bribery scheme. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York calling this one of the largest food stamp frauds in U.S. history. Joining me now is the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins. Secretary, it's great to have you this morning. What can you tell us about this?
Well, good morning, Maria. It's always so great to be with you, and you are coming from one of my favorite places in America, so it's really great to see you there. Listen, this is a new day, and President Trump promised as he was traveling across the country over the last few years that it would not be the government that we know. The government certainly that under Joe Biden exponentially grew, and alongside that, including the fraud and waste and abuse. And so
Y'all got that right. Again, I'll leave links to all this in the description box. You can watch it without my interruption. You can read the articles and get the information for yourself. But essentially, one of the largest food stamp fraud bribery cases in history. And well, like I said, they're going to be going to jail hopefully for a long time. And with that being said, thank you for attending another episode of the Working Man Podcast. I am your host, Nicholas J. Fury. Let me know what you think about this fraud down in the comment section, especially if you yourself maybe use SNAP benefits, and hopefully if you're using those benefits, hopefully you don't plan on being on there for too much longer, I guess, if possible. But let me know what you think about this down in the comment section. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell. We're out of the door, and I will see you on the next video.